If you didn't see last week, found out that the master cylinder is leaking on the Nova, so I got some work to do there. And cops are coming. Hang on one second. There they go. They're gone. They got him. Happy Saturday. Pretty fantastic day out, and well, I can't think of a better reason to go ahead and get a pretty significant project done today. And that project lies within these two boxes here. So let's kind of dive into this, shall we? We have a dash 12 to dash 6 AN fitting. We got two of those. We have a relay wiring kit with some switches, a couple brackets, and some hardware. But here's the meat and potatoes here. We'll get to this one in a minute. Is this guy right here. I just ripped that box. That's okay. Don't need it anymore. I bought this awesome transmission cooler from what's it called? AmericanVolt.com, and I'll put a link in the description as always, at least to their main website. But this is a 36 row stacked fin cooler, and I've been kind of racking my brain on which transmission cooler to run on the Dakota, and a lot of people recommend a TrueCool 40K transmission cooler for L80Es. They say it does a good job. And I'm sure it does, but there's also people that recommend Durale. There's just a lot of like back and forth and all that. I actually was planning on doing a TrueCool 40K on it, but it was hard to find a kit with fans and a fan shroud and everything else that wasn't under $500. There is some out there, but like they're not available till like way in November, and I can't wait that long. So I did some more digging on Facebook and some other forums and stuff like that, and found some people recommended this brand, and it's a relatively new brand. And I have to admit, I am pretty impressed with this thing. It is beefy. It's very well made. I'm sure it's foreign made. Hopefully not with a company called American Volt, but I would assume this is probably foreign made, because I got this entire kit that has this large cooler, which, look at that, it's 2 inches thick or so, 1 3/4 thick, and it came with this, just grossly opening things, little guy right here, which this is probably a crapshoot. We'll have to see how good or bad this fan is. But it came with that and all the wiring, and there's a thermostatic switch in here and some fittings. And I did have to buy the bracket for an extra 15 bucks. And here's the other side of the bracket. As you can see, I was already messing with it. All of this together, I think, was $139 minus the brackets. The brackets were like 15 bucks. So for $150, you get a cooler, you get your fan, you get your adapter fittings based on what you need. I'm going to run dash 6 lines. You get a thermostatic switch, fan wiring, relay, fuse stuff, like all kinds of fun stuff there. It even has a manual switch on it. And here's our mounting tabs for our fan. And I mean, it's a whole kit. So I couldn't be happier with that. Then I ordered this from someone that's local, that's pretty well known with some parts and stuff. This is some dash 6 PTFE line, and I got it from Monkey Fab Garage. It's the same place I got my fuel lines and stuff from. And we bought a whole bunch of fittings too, which are probably in here. Yeah, there we go. Bought a couple 90-degree fittings, some straight fittings. These are the fittings for the 4L80E, and I'll get to elaborating on that a little bit later. Straight fittings, 45 degrees. So I've got kind of what I need to put this whole transmission cooler setup together today. Additionally, I bought a tool, and let me see if that tool is out and available to easily show you guys. Yep, here it is. I bought a $40 Amazon tool and had really, really good reviews. What this tool is it's a nutzert tool. So basically these are like pocket rivets, but when they go into place you can screw bolts into them. Have a bunch of different dies depending on what we're doing, and well, you know, that's exactly what we needed. So I'm gonna get to putting this thing, the brackets on this thing, and kind of getting all my stuff together, and then we'll look for placement underneath the truck, and then it's gonna be drilling holes and using that tool to get it all in place. From there, we'll go from there. Let's just get that done first. Then we have this whole task of getting all the AN stuff on there, which is, it's a little bit of a job. So, all right, here we go. It's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be worth it, but it's gonna be a long day. Here are the brackets installed. So they just install with the hardware here. So this is the one that has the cutouts for your fittings. And then here are the two brackets in the back. I've been doing some test fitting under the truck, and I know that this is probably not going to work as this, but it would work if it's straight up and down. So a couple things. One, I'm going to straighten these out in a second. Two, I'm going to mount them back here to this ledge that's inside the truck right here. But I can't get to that with a drill, so I got to drop the tank a little bit. So tank is empty, not a huge deal, not exactly what I wanted to do, but hey, it is what it is. So I need to drop the tank some, get it out of the way, and then straighten out those brackets. So let me drop the tank, and then I'll come back to you when we straighten out these brackets. Okay, here is the goal. We're going to take this beautiful bracket here and deform it into something like this. That's the goal. I will file this down and repaint it after we mock it up, but that's the way I need it. I'm going to use these tools to do it. So here we go. First, put it in a vise. Second, heat it up. Third, we're going to adjust it a little bit. Pull it in some. And then fourth, we'll start bending it out with this. Not exactly perfect, but we want to get it started. I'm going to adjust it out some more. Come in here with this big dog. Really start bending it out. Just like that. Now, the goal here is to try to get it as flat as possible. So I'm going to put it in the vise. Here we go. And now you can see that this side's a little cattywampus, or it's a little bit out. So I'm going to take my pry bar and just try to pry it back as much as possible. And that's it. It's not too terrible. It's not as flat as we'd want it. You could always just use some bar stock and drill some holes in it, but I already bought these. They're going to do the job. All right, I figured out where I want it, and once we get it hung, I'll show you all that. But first, we need to kind of start getting some holes drilled so that we can start putting our nutzerts in. And I want to get one or two in first before I drill out the others to make sure we do it all in the right place and things to that extent. Here are the brackets on the back. And this will all make sense to you as soon as once I get it in there. But I only got one bolt down here. It should suffice. I may throw a little Loctite on it when we're done. But this gives me enough room to mount it to this lip right here, which I've already kind of marked. Where you at? Right there. So I marked a line down it. And I actually just center punched it. So I'm going to drill a pilot hole while we can. Perfect. There's my pilot hole. Now, let me show you how the rest of this is going to go. I have taken one of my, what do you call it, nutzerts. And this is not scientific in any means, but I kind of just put it over my multi-drill and kind of looked at it to see where it matches up. And to me, it matches up there in the 4th rung. So it looks like this diameter is the same as this diameter here. So I'm going to drill out to the 4th rung and see if this fits in well. I'm sure there's a guide that tells you what size to drill, but I'm going rogue. Alright, so far it doesn't seem like this tool's too hard to use. This has already got a die in it, so we're going to pull that die out, just loosen up this right here, pull it off. Has this washer right here that needs to come off, and it just unthreads as well. Then this is slotted and it just pulls out. Now I know I need 1/4 inch by 20 die, so I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to slide it in. It can only really go in one way, you can see it. Then slide the nut back on. I guess you could call it the nut. And then we'll put the washer on. And it seems to be that easy. Now we got to slide a nutzert on, which I just had one. And when you do it, you pull back on it, and then you can tighten your nutzert on. Doesn't seem like rocket science. Let's go see how it goes into the truck. I drilled the hole a little bit bigger than I had wanted to, because I couldn't see what I was doing. But hey, I think it still may be all right. So let's go see if we can get it in there. Okay, so here's the hole. I'm gonna put the nutzert in, make sure it's flush, and then start pulling back on it. That seems pretty good. And then unscrew it. I should have went in if I did it right. And it did. Look at that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let me get a nut. Alright, let's see if this threads in without issue. How cool is that? And get it all the way in so I can try to turn it. Oh Jesus. Yeah, that's awesome. I am so glad I bought that tool. How cool is that? Man, boy, could I have used that in so many other different situations. And it's literally just like a pot rivet that's threaded. So, long overdue for that. That was a $40 kit. Awesome. Now I gotta kind of hang this thing, figure out what the next bolt goes, and then I'll show you the rest of it. I don't know how I've lived my life all this time without nutzerts. That is one of the best things ever. Check it out. So, set you guys up. Nutzert and bolt in. Nutzert and bolt in. And the cooler's in place. So let me get underneath here and show you guys how I have it mounted, because we are almost done with just the mounting portion of this. Alright, I got it mounted so it's flat right here against the bottom of the driver's side of the truck, and it looks really good. Again, I've got nutzert here, and I've got another one right here where, I mean, you can see the bolt, but you're not going to be able to see the nutzert, right? From there, right, so the way I have it mounted on this side, right, there's the nutzert up there, but that's a 1/2 inch steel spacer that I got at the hardware store. With that said, we have at least a 1/2 inch clearance all the way around this thing, a lot more in this valley here. And the reason we did that is because, or I did that, the fan's gonna mount here. We're gonna want to pull air through this thing to cool it down, and you also want to be able to have some pass by. So if you look at the back, there's a whole lot of space here, right? So there's a lot here, and this should effectively cool, I hope. It seems like a pretty good deal. The last thing I have to do is this one, and you know, there's probably 2 inches from the mounting point to the surface of the floor of the truck. So I'm going to need to mount that, or to mark it to be able to mount it, and then I'm gonna have to go get some hardware. So I'm gonna see if I can set you guys up and show you how I'm gonna mark it, and then we'll do the rest of it. I don't have a great scientific way to do this, but what I figured out is this screwdriver is not too bad as far as fitting in this hole. There's definitely gap around it, but if I can try to go straight up as possible to where I can get this thing as centered as possible in here, I know that that'll be a rough idea where we can mark the hole. Now, I'm trying to see it from different views to make sure we're as straight as possible. And I think that's going to be it there. So I'm going to mark around it if I can. If I say that. And hopefully all of that together will make some sense. Woo, what a mess. There is an indentation though. In fact, let me do this. And yeah, looks like we marked it pretty good. So I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to pull all this stuff back off. Then I'm going to drill it, drill out some more, use the nutzert, and then we're going to go from there. My name's Ryan, and I'm a bonehead because I just put the nutzert in the wrong spot. I drill here, and I put the nutzert there. I don't know what this hole's for, but it's definitely not here. And there's a problem because the tool that I bought came with nutzerts, and well, I would love to just throw it back in there. But these are ones I bought from the hardware store. They have a larger diameter, so I gotta go to the hardware store. So I'm gonna put all this stuff back together, measure the distance from here to the transmission cooler so I can get the right bolt for it, and buy another nutzert from the hardware store. So yeah, we'll be back shortly. So here we go. This one, that's the one I wanna to put the nutzert in. This one right here, yep. Let's not mess that up again. Alright, in. Pull this off. And fantastic, look at there. I can't believe I did that. And now, I've got a bolt that I think is going to work, and I've got a bunch of spacers. So let me try to get it all in place, and we'll see how that works out. that one fought me a little bit. It fought me a little bit because the bolt that I had a little burr on it, and it kind of messed up the threads on the nutsert. And then trying to fix it, it wound up spinning inside, which is undesired. But I was able to kind of get a vice grip on the other side from inside the truck, hold it, pull the bolt out, then I ran the tool back up in it, and then I tightened it down some more, and it seems to have snug it back to where it's not moving. So here we go. We got I think it's a 3-inch bolt. This is 1/2 inch, this is 1/4 inch, this is 1.25 inches. So I've got 2 inches of spacers right here, and it's, you know, it's not exactly desired, but in this instance, it's going to work just fine. So a 1/2 inch spacer over there, no spacers. These are just bolts on the back. Went ahead and got new hardware for it, so it's nice and pretty. And well, it's super solid. I can move the truck with it, so I'm super happy with that. Can I say super anymore? I'm very happy with that. I think it looks fantastic. And now we got one more thing to do, and we'll be done with this install, and then we'll have to start working on the lines, which is probably going to be the second video of this whole series here. So let me pull it back out one more time. Let's put the fan on it and then put it all back up, and I'm going to Loctite the bolts that go on there. So all right, let me pull it off. Now let's finish it up, and we're going to mount the fan that came with the kit. Seems like an okay fan. Looks like they've already maybe balanced it. I'm not sure what that's all about there. Hope that don't come off. That would be bad. Anyway, let me show you how we're going to mount it. We're going to mount it the non-beautiful way, because this thing doesn't come with a fan shroud. There's a couple different ways to mount it. You can mount it with these mounting tabs that go in here, or, you know, and bolt them to a fan shroud, or there's some tabs right here. Well, the tabs right here are what fits on this radiator, or sorry, transmission cooler, within the bounds. These do not, so they won't work. And that's okay that they don't work, but that means we kind of have to do it the undesired way, which is by using these, which are essentially zip ties, except they're for a radiator, or yeah, for electrical fans, for cooling fans. So I'll show you how we're going to use them. I think it's going to be okay. It's just not the preferred way to do it. But these actually come with these springs now, which are kind of cool. So let me show you how we're going to get it all set up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out where the best place for this thing is. And I think I've already got it figured out. But I want to make sure that my mounting tabs go over the fins in the center there, and they do. I also want to make sure it stays in line over here because of the down pin. So what I'm worried about is there's only like 2 or 3 fins on this side, and if you blow them out, what do? But if we put the mounting tabs in the middle like this, there's plenty of room to go back and forth, and I think we'll be okay. Oh boy, I gotta worry about that too. Huh. Well, I'll feel fine about it. I just gotta do it. Alright, change the plans. Let me try to go here. Alright. I'm going to put a sticky. These are the insulators, so they kind of go on the back of the fan, so you don't have vibrations messing up the fan. Oh, that wasn't good. Let me poke a hole through it. This needs to go through here, which needs to go through the here, sticky side on that side. Then I'm going to go through this hole that I created and see if I can get it to work for me. Oh, man, that's tough. But it definitely ought to not go nowhere when we get it set up. This is not the greatest tech install. Oh, man, I don't like that at all. Well, I don't really see any other options than to do it this way. I don't feel great about it, but I'm gonna put this isolator down early on this thing. There we go. Man. Oofta. I don't know how this is gonna happen and not mess anything up. It does not want to go through. Let me get some pliers and pray I don't mess this thing up. Got a long ways to go, but it's going. It's going. It's slowly going. There it is on the other side. I'm going to try to push it through just a little bit more, and then I might try to pull it through, which might be easier. Try to hold it in place and pull it through. There it goes. Fantastic. I'm not going to pull it all the way through just so I have some movement here. Figure out where the rest of them are going to go. Actually, yes, I am going to pull it through. There we go. I think I'm going to have to snip a little off on here. I can do that with the Dremel and just and that'll hold it in place better, because now we're going to do it again, and I'm going to do it like right there. We'll get that started. Alright, I had to get a little creative there. I went and took some material off the one side so that it'll fit in here up against what it needs to fit and still be able to be like flush. So this one, I'd have to pull it out to do that, which I'm not gonna do. I may be asking for it here, but I was able to get this back out, took it to my grinder, and I ground it down a little bit. I'm hoping that that'll make it easier to go through the fins to get to the other side, which it did. All right, there we go. So now I know my technique to get it through the other side. There we go. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. And you see how I ground that down and it looks nice there? And this one's kind of cattywampus. Well, maybe not. This one's cattywampus. This one's ground down so it fits flush there. Sweet. Now let me go do that same technique on these last two, because man, they didn't want to get started there. I was doing that for 15 minutes and getting nowhere. All right, so we want to get to about there. So do that at your own risk, because I think I'm okay, but man, are these ribs tight. And I'm glad I ground it down the way I did. And this stuff's getting cut off anyway, so this little part here that I ground down isn't going to hurt anything. But now, let me show you how to finish these guys up. If you've never put them on before, they're not that bad. And again, adhesive side towards the radiator, cooler, whatever you want to call it. This is a radiator in essence. Oop, there's one. All right, we're going to omit the springs and just use the clip like I've always done. And there it goes. Going to hold it down in place. Now I just got to do that a couple more times. There we go, ladies and gents, all done. So I'm gonna go throw it underneath the truck for the last time, and let me go throw it under there, show you guys how it looks when it's done. So it took me a little bit longer today than I wanted it to, and I'm debating if it's time to shut it down or not. it's going to be time to shut it down for this video, but I'd like to try to get some more done tonight. But let me turn the light on and show you guys the final install. Super clean. I've got Loctite on all the bolts, just because I don't really want that to fall down, and it's fighting gravity, and who knows what kind of vibrations we're gonna deal with there. So that's what I did on that one. But overall, it's awesome. Plenty of room up there. I tested the fan. Fan works pretty good. It's gonna be able to be wired, and then I can follow the rest of the wiring harness down to the rest of the truck. And yeah, what you think, guys? What do you think? Well, like I said, that took a little longer than I was expecting it to, but that was a big check mark off the list. Now I can work on getting these AN hoses made for them with a PTFE line. And that's something I'm not exactly looking forward to, because I don't like working with AN lines. It's just not a lot of fun. But we're going to cover it on the next video. And I think I'm at a stopping point for this as far as this project goes. So let me know what you think. I think it's going to be a pretty good trans cooler. It looks, you know, it looks super nice, super beefy. It's good quality. Again, AmericanVolt.com. Look in the description. There might be a hyphen in it, but it's pretty nice stuff, especially on a budget. So I'm gonna try it out. We're gonna see what the trans temps are, and if we have to change it later on down the road, we will. But it does get it out of the front of the motor and everything else, so it makes it pretty easy to pull the motor out or something else if we need to, without having to deal with the trans lines. Or we can even pull the whole engine and trans and cooler out together and not make a giant mess if we need to, or whatever else we need to do. Plus it makes room for whatever else we're going to do up front, intercooler or something else. So that's why I moved it, and I think it's going to work out pretty good. I do have some things that we're not going to go over today that are included with it, and I'll have to just give you guys a follow-up on that. But this right here is an inline 6AN fitting, and right here, this little thing right here is a temperature switch. So it turns on the fan at 180 degrees and it turns off at 160. So it automatically does that. So I don't have to use an output for Terminator X, because I only got 4. That's one of the limitations of the Terminator. So I was thinking this is going to do the job. It comes with a relay kit and a fuse, inline fuse with it, and some stuff like that, and even a switch, so you can do a manual switch, which I probably will hook up, but maybe not to this switch. I don't really like the rocker switches like that. So we're pretty good to go. I need to get these AN lines done, which is next, and then once those are done, we can run the exhaust all the way out the back. So that'll be it as far as it goes for the rear of the truck, underneath the truck. And then we'll start putting the front end back together, which is not far from here, and it's not far from running. So every day we get a little closer. So thank you for coming along. Hope you guys like, you know, the content and what we're going over. If you didn't see last week, found out that the master cylinder is leaking on the Nova, so I got some work to do there. And cops are coming. Hang on one second. There they go. They're gone. They got him. So anyway, the Nova, we found out the master cylinder is leaking on this, so I'm gonna have to figure out what I want to do. If I want to order a whole assembly or whatnot, and kind of go from there. This is the factory disc brake car. Well, I say factory, it's an option. So this car was optioned with disc brakes, even though those are not the originals. Have the originals in a box upstairs. But we got a Dakota RT that also serves as a workbench in a Bel Air that you don't see that right now, and a Sonoma GT that's rarer than anything in this place. Only 806 made. We got a lot going on, that's what I'm saying. So if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hanging out with us. You can also check us out on our social medias, which is Facebook and Instagram, and that's at the RacerX Garage. And well, we're just going to continue on with the Dakota to try to get it running by the end of the year. So let me know if you think we can get that done. There's still quite a bunch of work to do, but we're knocking it out. So anyways, we'll see you next time. Until next time, you know the deal. Y'all be good.